And 90 is it's the end of Mrs. Thatcher, but it's the start of Thatcherism. It's when Thatcherism is the idea that wealth comes not from productive work, but from owning an asset, from owning a house. That's Thatcherism, and that's embraced by New Labour. And Mandelson, there, you said, when Labour was in government, we're all Thatcherites now. Economically, we're all Thatcherites now. So the generation,
he didn't quite say that. I think he said we're all middle class.
No, he said economically we're all Thatcherites now.
Okay,
it's an extraordinary quote. The generation that is just a little bit older than us, maybe, who benefited from council housing, from cheaper rents, from paid university if they went to do it, from steady employment, from guaranteed employment. That generation, they have been able to build up assets, and the main asset is the house. That's where their wealth comes from. And now, even though they continue to identify, and this is much more a small town dynamic, I think, than a big city dynamic. Now, they will identify themselves as working class, but they have a vested interest in the price of houses rising more than the price of labour. And as such, they have a vested interest in preventing, if you like, a mass build of council housing, with the fear that that's going to devalue the price of their asset. So really, their vested interest is in shafting their grandkids. Now, that's not a very nice position to take. So they have to find some excuse that allows them to take that position. And that's where the nationalism comes in. Oh, the other side who want to build council houses, they're in favour of terrorists. They hate our country and its history. And that's where all of the nationalism comes in. And obviously the nationalism has a strong racial content, because there's the one truth that football highlights so clearly is that a considerable part of our working class are not white. So the footballers, the white ones, they got to deal with that. They can't ignore that reality. The small town homeowners, they can ignore that reality, because in their conception, they're not working class. These young non-white kids, they're immigrants or whatever. So it's their little mental construct. That's one of the reasons I think that the aspects of racism can be stoked much more now than they could back in 1990. And in the end, society evolves one funeral at a time. And looking at the youngsters who this England team is representing, the 2011 team, you're thinking, 2021 team, you're thinking, blimey, that's all right, isn't it? This is all right. We're moving in a good direction. If that's what our young generation are, we're moving in a good in a good direction. So I see this as a generational chasm in which race is one very visible and very toxic aspect. But the problem is bigger. The problem is that economic divide between those who have assets and those who will be in debt for all of their lives. That's why I remember saying to you at the start of the Euros that Gareth Southgate was trying to build a bridge between right-wing nationalists, stand up for the Queen and all that, and the new generation. And it might be able to work for a football tournament, but it's much, much harder in society. And I think we saw in the end, it couldn't even work in a football tournament.